Good day, children. Today we move on to the third sub-lesson from the lesson Glimpses of India from the textbook First Flight. The lesson is titled Tea from Assam. Tea from Assam is written by Arup Kumar Datta. Arup Kumar Datta was born in 1946 at Johat in Assam. He was educated at Delhi University and he served as a professor in English for many years at JB College, Johat. And his published works include the adventure stories Brahmaputra, which have been translated into many foreign languages. Now, this lesson, Tea from Assam, it is a very short description of Assam, a northeastern state of India, and this state is very famous for its tea plantations. So, in this extract, Pranjol, a youngster from Assam, who is Rajveer's classmate at school in Delhi, and Pranjol's father is a manager of a tea garden in Upper Assam, and Pranjol has invited Rajveer to visit his home during the summer vacation. So they are both going to Assam to visit Pranjol's parents. Okay. Chai garam, garam chai, a venter called out in a high-pitched voice. He came up to their window and asked, Chai, Saab? Give us 2 cups, Pranjol said. They sipped the steaming hot liquid. Almost everyone in their compartment was drinking tea too. Do you know that over 80 crore cups of tea are drunk every day throughout the world? Rajiv said. Phew, exclaimed Pranjol. Tea really is very popular. The train pulled out of the station. Pranjol buried his nose in his detective book again. Rajveer too was an ardent fan of detective stories, but at the moment he was keener on looking at the beautiful scenery. It was green, green everywhere. Rajveer had never seen so much greenery before. Then the soft green paddy fields gave way to tea bushes. It was a magnificent view. Against the backdrop of densely wooded hills, a sea of tea bushes stretched as far as the eye could see. Dwarfing the tiny tea plants were tall, sturdy shade trees, and amidst the orderly rows of bushes busily moved doll-like figures. So here we see how Pranjol and Rajveer are in a train and they are off to Assam. They get 2 cups of tea and Rajveer gives his knowledge about tea and he says that 80 crore cups of tea are drunk every day throughout the world. And so Pranjol is quite amazed that tea is popular all over the world. And once the train started moving, Pranjol buried his nose, or he started reading the detective book. And whereas Rajveer, even though he was an ardent fan, which means a strong fan of detective stories, at the moment he was quite keener, or he was very much interested in looking at the beautiful scenery outside. And what does he see? He sees that it was green everywhere. And he had never seen such greenery before. And he could see soft green paddy fields, which led to tea bushes also. And it was a very magnificent view, or a beautiful view, and it was set against the backdrop of densely wooded hills, which means that it was a thick forest, and there was sea of tea bushes, or there was so much of tea bushes which was spread among the area as far as the eye could see. And dwarfing the tiny tea plants, dwarfing means making all the other things look small. There were tall, sturdy shade trees, sturdy, strong shade trees stood there, all standing like doll-like figures. Okay. In the distance was an ugly building with smoke billowing out of tall chimneys. Billowing means billowing out or coming out. Okay, so he could see an ugly building with smoke which came out of the tall chimneys. Hey, a tea garden, Rajveer cried excitedly. Pranjol, who had been born and brought up on a plantation, didn't share Rajveer's excitement. Oh, this is tea country now, he said. Assam has the largest concentration of plantations in the world. You will see enough gardens to last you a lifetime. I have been reading as much as I could about tea, Rajveer said. No one really knows who discovered tea, but there are many legends. What legends? So, here we see that Rajveer and Pranjal are having a conversation, and Rajveer is very excited to see a tea garden. Pranjal, who was born and brought up in a plantation, he did not share the same excitement that Rajveer shared, and he says how this is India is basically a tea country, and Assam has got the largest concentration or the largest number of plantations in the world, and you can see plantations or gardens which can last you a lifetime. And he also Rajveer says that there are many legends behind how tea was discovered, because no one really knows how tea was discovered. So, Pranjal was curious and he asked Rajveer, what legends? Well, there's the one about the Chinese emperor who always boiled water before drinking it. One day, a few leaves of the twigs burning under the pot fell into the water, giving it a delicious flavor. It is said they were tea leaves. Tell me another, scoffed Pranjal. Scoffed means laughed. Okay, so Pranjal laughed. We have an Indian legend too. Bodhidharma, an ancient Buddhist ascetic, cut off his eyelids because he felt sleepy during meditations. 10 tea plants grew out of the eyelids. The leaves of these plants, when put in hot water and drunk, banished sleep. So, Rajveer gives another legend. This one, first one was a Chinese legend. Now he gives an Indian legend. Okay, legend which means myth. Okay, so he gives another myth about Bodhidharma, who was an ancient Buddhist ascetic. Ascetic means monk, and he says how he cut off his eyelids and because he felt sleepy during meditations, and 10 tea plants grew out of these eyelids, and therefore the leaves of these plants, when you put it in hot water and you drank it, it banished sleep, or it removed sleep. That is, you will not fall asleep. Tea was first drunk in China, Rajveer added, as far back as 2700 BC. In fact, words such as tea, chai and chini are from Chinese. Tea came to Europe only in the 16th century and was drunk more as medicine than as beverage. So he says how tea was first drunk in China, and he gives details about how it was found in 2700 BC, and that is as far as you can trace back the origin of tea. And these words like chai and chini came from Chinese. Chai is tea and chini is sugar. And and he says how tea came to Europe only in the 16th century and was initially drunk as a medicine more than a beverage. Beverage means a drink. The train clattered into Mariani Junction. The boys collected their luggage and pushed their way to the crowded platform. Pranjal's parents were waiting for them. Soon they were driving towards Dhekiabari, the tea garden managed by Pranjal's father. An hour later, the car veered sharply off the main road. They crossed a cattle bridge and entered the Dhekiabari tea estate. Veered sharply means moved fastly. Okay, so he moved sharply off the main road and they entered the Dhekiabari tea estate. On both sides of the gravel road were acre upon acre of tea bushes, all neatly pruned to the same height. Groups of tea pluckers with bamboo baskets on their backs, wearing plastic aprons, were plucking the newly sprouted leaves. So on both sides of the gravel road, there was acres of tea bushes, and everything was neatly pruned. Pruned means neatly cut to the same height. And there were tea pluckers with their bamboo baskets on their back. They were wearing plastic aprons and they were plucking the newly sprouted leaves. So you must have seen in movies, especially those which are shot in Munnar and Ooty and all, where there are tea plantations or coffee plantations, and people pluck the in tea plantations you can see people plucking the leaves, tea leaves. Okay, and those who visited Munnar and Ooty would also know that. Pranjal's father slowed down to allow a tractor pulling a trailer load of tea leaves to pass. This is the second flush or sprouting period, isn't it, Mr. Barua? Rajveer asked. It lasts from May to July and yields the best tea. You seem to have done your homework before coming, Pranjal's father said in surprise. Yes, Mr. Barua, Rajveer admitted, but I hope to learn much more while I am here. So, Rajveer is very excited to visit Assam, and he's also excited to learn more about tea plantations and about the tea that is there in the plantation where Pranjal is settled. Okay, so that was the third lesson. Thank you, children.